okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
I got this.
You got one more. Oh, hey, yo, listen. You gotta kill the janitors.
Chill.
Those are working class Americans.
Percy, step forward. Percy, step forward. Stop lollygagging. All right.
So, this is Camp Half-Blood.
Half meaning what?
I think you know. Half meaning half mortal, half god. Whoa! Guys, watch the arrows. Newcomer, hello. Gosh, look, man. Remember all the myths about great gods and goddesses? Well, they're not myths. Remember what Mr. Bruner said? Sometimes they come down to Earth and they fall in love with mortals, and then they have kids?
No way.
Yes way. Yep, you're a demigod. Check this out. Yeah, you like that, huh? See, man, this place right here. There you go. It's a place where you learn to harness your powers.
I think you have the wrong guy, all right? I'm not a hero. I'm a loser. I have dyslexia, ADHD.
And those are your greatest gifts.
Yeah, about that.
I'm messing with you. Smile, smile.
Yo, Frank. What up? Excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, the son of Messiah is coming through. Oh, Burst, watch out.
Hey.
Whoa, you guys gonna kill the man and save the world? Great job. All you guys take a lunch break. Thank you. Check this out.
We interrupt our regularly scheduled programming for this special report.
This
Check this
is
out.
Percy Jackson. This is Percy Jackson. Percy, take this to defend yourself. It's a powerful weapon.
This is a pen. This is a pen. How flippin' awesome was that? I just...
And 1, 2, 3. Do they look back at us as we gaze at the stars? Do they know how much we need their light now that we've lost us? Don't they see how cold we are as darkness reigns? abandoned us without a warning. Now that it is vanished, no longer will we see morning. Fabricated fires are set to light our way in a world that's lost its only way to start our day. Do they know how much we need their light? Do they even look back at us? Don't they see how cold we are as darkness reigns in day? Could there be someone down here who brings back? Well, no longer dust on break. In darkness we awake. The sky made a mistake, now bring it back for pity's sake. No longer dust on break. In darkness we awake. The sky made a mistake, now bring it back for pity's sake. In darkness we awake. The sky made a mistake, now bring it back for pity's sake. No longer dust on break. In darkness we awake. The sky made a mistake, now bring it back for pity's sake. As we gaze at the stars, do they know we need their light now? Don't they see we're cold and weird? May I be the one? Dust on break. In darkness we awake. The sky made a mistake, now bring it back for pity's sake. No longer dust on break. In darkness we awake. The sky made a mistake, now bring it back for pity's sake. No longer dust on break. In darkness we awake. The sky made a mistake, now bring it back for pity's sake. No longer dust on break. In darkness we awake. Now bring it back for all our sake. Oh, 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 oh. Join me for an adventure. Oh, much like any other, with twists and turns and plot devices, words and wonder. Now my advice is listen close. What makes this story different is the teller and the told. This one's ours and it's waiting to unfold. So come be merry with me. Oh, come be merry with me. Come on, be merry with me. Join me for an adventure, oh, much like any other, with twists and turns and plot devices, words and wonder. Now my advice is listen close. What makes this story different is the teller and the told. This one's ours and it's waiting to unfold.
Hello. What's going on? Welcome to an edition of Merry Mitch. It's been a while. It's been a while. But I pray everybody is doing well, and in my absence, I don't know, found enjoyment elsewhere, you know? But the good news is I am back in action, and I'm excited to be reading through a bunch more chapters tonight with you. Yeah, to give you an explanation, the weekend was just kind of a struggle. I've been having a lot of turmoil with sleep in particular. Oh, it's been great. Great to see you back, though. Heck yeah. Thank you, Finn. It's good to have you here. But yeah, I've just been having turmoil with sleep. Just, you know, a lot of nightmares and trouble falling asleep. Or occasionally I do get to sleep easily, but then I sleep for way too long. Occasionally I don't get enough sleep. It's just been all over the place and kind of just a mess. Not entirely sure what all is contributing to it, but it's been hard. It been leaving me with, and it left me over the weekend with not quite as much energy and motivation as I normally have. But this week has been going at least a little bit better. I'm still having trouble with sleep, but I have regained motivation and joy, and most importantly, merriment. Well, you know, demigods never get good sleep. Coincidence? I think not. But don't tell anybody, though. Don't let anybody know that I'm a demigod. You know, the government will come after me and stuff. You know how it goes. But heck yeah, I'm super pumped to be back. I had a pretty good day today. Again, sleep was a little rough. I slept way too late. Yet I still got up with enough time to get myself ready and out the door for work. And work was a blast. The second class that I coached was pretty chaotic. Pretty chaotic. But I believe it's a lot in part to my own fault. I didn't make the rules too clear to them at first, and there was one kid that I have coached before that I wish I had remembered how all over the place he is. Because I would have been better apt to handle it, but he wasn't there last week, so it was a bit of a surprise to have him there this week. Little son of Apollo over here with the wordsmithery. Wordsmithery. I like how that sounds. I am a wordsmith, so I've been told. I also felt bad because since the kids were so chaotic, I brought in the stern side of me. I brought in the stern and serious side of me, which I hate bringing up, especially in front of like 5 to 7 year old kids, because they recognize it. And that's the thing that sucks most about it, is as soon as somebody switches into that mode, an adult switches into it, they recognize it, and they just get this saddest look on their faces, and it tears at my heartstrings, man. I don't know. It's hard for me to figure out what else to do, though, other than sit them down and refresh them on the rules and make clear the consequences for, you know, not following the rules. But you guys know what I'm talking about, right? That look that kids get when they recognize, oh, I'm actually not going to just be able to do anything that I want today. And in fact, this adult is also expecting things of me. I don't know. Not every kid gets that way when that side comes up. In fact, a fair amount of them I've found tend to take that moment as an opportunity to show that they can do better, you know? But these kids in particular are all about chaos and love just running amok. So as soon as I brought that up, they got these really melancholy looks, and I hated to see it. I hated to see it. But and my last class only has one kid in it, but he didn't show up today, and that was a little unfortunate. Gave me a chance to hang out with one of my favorite coaches there, though, which is good. I was able to float with him and his class for a little bit, which made for a excellent end to the day. Once that was through, I drove on home and got myself some dinner and loaded up ye old stream. I'm pumped. I'm excited. It feels good to be back in action. To give you a little update on what the plan is going forward, what I'm wanting to do with the channel, I threw in an update on the Discord, but if you're not linked up to that, I am hoping to do streams on Tuesdays and then Thursdays through Sundays. So the only days I'll be taking off are going to be Mondays and Wednesdays. And that's due to a new commitment that I've started up and I've wanted to try to keep up each week. And so far, I've done so. And it's been really good for me too, the new commitment. It's been really good. It's been real good. Yeah. So that's the plan, and I'm hoping to follow suit with it. Since Monday and Wednesday, I won't be able to do the usual reading of the book. I'm considering including half of Friday's stream to be Percy Jackson time as well. Don't know how you guys feel about that, but I think that's my plan, and I'm gonna try that out this week and see if that works out. But yeah, that's about it. I'm hoping all you guys are doing well too. I don't know, how have you guys been sleeping? I recognize now that, I don't know, I'm often not the only one that struggles with sleep. It's been odd for me though. I tend to have a pretty good time with sleep for the most part. But my relationship with sleep recently has been not too great. Oh, not good. Well, P-dubs, don't lose faith, don't lose hope. It can get better. Just try to find things to do to help out with it. You know, for me, I'm trying to avoid late night snacks. I want to cut out caffeine for a little bit, but it's not been happening so far. But I know there are other things that I can do too, such as shutting off electronics earlier and you know, praying before bed and stuff like that. Hey, Mary Dad, how you doing? I'm glad to have you here, Dad. Yeah, and I don't know why I'm being cryptic about the Monday and Wednesday commitments. I've joined up with a Bible study, and it's been really good for me. Met some really, really splendid folks there. Some people that have just a shining light in their eyes and an openness and a acceptance that goes beyond anything that I've seen in any group that I've been a part of. So that's been super duper splendid, and I've gotten a lot out of it. Yes, they are. They most definitely are. I'm glad to have you here too, Dad. Now let's see. Last we left off in The Lost Hero, I believe our heroes were dealing with a certain god of the winds, Aeolus. They were aided by a sort of like a nymph, but for the air. I'm trying to remember what they called their species. Kind of like a wind spirit of sorts, named Melly, a sweet, kind, secretary-esque wind spirit that is currently the right-hand woman of Aeolus. However, it hasn't been for very long, because apparently his assistants don't last for more than half a day, usually. So, entering into Aeolus's chambers, they find themselves in a big sphere that has no floor and has chutes going out of the sphere all across the bottom, little circles that lead to tunnels going out into the world. And all throughout this sphere are paper airplanes flying all about the place, occasionally being picked up by a wind spirit or picked up by Aeolus himself, opened up and read. A floor was brought in by some harpies, constructed of all sorts and manners of ground, whether it be soil or concrete or marble. It was all mishmashed together to get themselves over to Aeolus, thanks to the harpies putting it all together. As they approached the wind god, they saw him surrounded by TV screens, all displaying various newscasts throughout the world. And Aeolus, described as a man wearing a business suit that seemed to be made of the sky itself, shifting in atmosphere depending on Aeolus's mood. From cloudy to bright, sunny and clear to a stormy, dark gray color. Shifting according to Aeolus's mood. He looked about in his 60s with a shock of white hair and an almost a very fake looking face. A kind of pretty that comes from years of plastic surgery. Almost like a Ken doll, Aeolus, his personality turned out to be very businessman-esque, very outgoing and almost to the point of distributing like signs of mania. But a very excitable god. Melly informs him that Jason has arrived, and Aeolus believes Jason to be a different Jason. Apparently a Jason that he was expecting to come by, but this Jason he did not expect. they had a conversation with him, trying to convince him to help them and to reveal the location of, not Porphyrion, but Enceladus, the giant that has Piper's father captive. They also tried to get Aeolus to take back his order to kill any demigod on sight, which apparently Aeolus had just simply forgotten about. He forgot he even gave the order to just eliminate all demigods. So he recounted that order, thankfully, and recalling that, oh, I was just grumpy. So he rescinds that order, and they move on to the matter of where Enceladus is. But just as Aeolus decides that, actually, yeah, I think doing this for you would be a good idea. It'll get him in good standing with Jason's father, Zeus. Could get him a promotion. You know, it's a good deal for both parties. But suddenly, Aeolus realizes, or gets interrupted mid-sentence and hears something from his earpiece. Oh, hey May, how's it going? I'm glad you stopped by. He gets interrupted by his earpiece, and someone other than the gods speaks in his ear. He turns around and says, oh, well, okay, sorry, this is going to be a little awkward, but you all have to die now. And yeah, he simply turns and says, sorry, son of Jupiter, new orders. You'll all have to die. Melly is taken aback by this, and it seems as everyone is as surprised as the demigods themselves. But thankfully, making a daring escape just before they are aided by Melly in this escape, Aeolus does reveal where Enceladus is holding Piper's father captive. So they get out of there just by the skin of their neck, and it leads all of them to black out as they are jettisoned out of Aeolus's fortress. Piper's dream was about the wilderness school, her time with Jason. In fact, the very first time that they finally got romantic and Piper finally got, in her words, the stupid guy to kiss her. Yeah, so that was a touching moment, but just as it, got to the most blissful moment of the dream changed. And she found herself back in Medea's department store. Piper didn't know what was going on until she noticed a gorgeous woman across from her, browsing through the aisles. This woman, her appearance even seemed to shift and change as she looked at her, growing more and more beautiful as she seemingly grew closer and closer to Piper's idea of perfection. beautiful perfection, at least. Aphrodite stood before Piper, Piper's mom. They had a conversation about firstly, why Piper remembers that time with Jason so vividly. And Aphrodite reveals to her that it's because you're my daughter. It's because you see possibilities more vividly than others. You see what could be. And Aphrodite encourages her and says it still might be. Aphrodite obviously approving of Jason. She gives some good advice, talking about how to feel perfect, one must first feel perfect, or to be perfect, all one needs to do is to feel perfect about yourself. And avoid trying to be something you're not. They speak about her father for a time. And then, after enough chit-chat, they get to the important matter. She brings out a mixture, a potion from Medea herself. And as Piper hands it to her, she says, Aphrodite, I want you to take your father's memories. After you rescue him, if you're able to rescue him, I want you to take your father's memories. Trust me, it will be best for him if he forgets this nightmare. And she reveals that the enemy hopes to shatter her father. She hopes to break him, and in doing so, break Piper. So this is the best thing to do. We get a little bit more of an eye into Aphrodite's origins, how Aphrodite was born by rising from the sea, how she is the eldest Olympian and the last child of Uranus. So in a sense, she's kind of a titan who decided to be a god. But she is a child of Uranus. And kind of, I don't know, that kind of makes her the greatest of the gods. I don't know, I guess maybe not, since the titans weren't as good, couldn't beat the gods, but still, it makes her older than even Zeus, the head of the gods. And finally, through getting her daughter to think about it, Aphrodite reveals who this patron that we've been hearing about throughout the whole book is. It is Gaia. The earth itself is their enemy. Pretty daunting news. When they awoke, Aphrodite had transported them to where they needed to be, California. She had given she and her friends, all new clothing, all new clothing, and as you know, as Aphrodite is wont to do. And yeah, put them right in a spot where in the distance was the mountain where Enceladus was holding her father. Piper fills everybody in on the information she found out about her mother without revealing that it was Aphrodite that gave her the information. And so, from there, they make their way to Mount Diablo. In climbing the mountain, they realize something, that the earth itself was pulling at their feet, trying to consume them, to slow them down. They make their way up as quick as they can, hailing a taxi to drive them as far as the car could take them, and then walking the rest. And finally, they see Enceladus in front of a roaring bonfire of purple flame, with her father chained in the distance. Yeah, chained and quite worse for wear. They don't have much of a plan to save Piper's father and take down a giant, but they at least have a plan that could be their best chance. Maybe not a survivable one. Probably not even one that will work, but their best chance. And with Leo, with his lighthearted way, exclaims, "Let's boogie," before I come to my senses. And that's where we left off, with them about to enact this plan and save Piper's father at last, with the hunters going to hopefully slow down the rising of Porphyrion, the giant king. Oh. Sorry about the brief interruption. Got some spam bots in the chat. Not cool, guys. Don't be sending those my way. Don't send those anywhere. It's just not okay. Since we're at the end of summer, I decided to go for watermelon seltzer water, because I feel like this is the last time I'll be able to drink it, And I didn't drink it at all during the summer, so I figured now is the best chance. It's pretty tasty. It's no LaCroix, but I think I don't know, it might be just as good. I don't think LaCroix has a watermelon flavor. Regardless, who's ready to start the bedtime story? Whew. Go ahead and settle in, get comfy, get cozy, and get ready for the plan to hopefully work, as we will find out soon enough. This is The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. 42. Leo. The plan went wrong almost immediately. Piper scrambled along the ridge, trying to keep her head down, while Leo, Jason, and Coach Hedge walked straight into the clearing. Jason summoned his golden lance. He brandished it over his head and yelled, "Giant!" which sounded pretty good, and a lot more confident than Leo could have managed. He was thinking more along the lines of, "We are pathetic ants! Don't kill us!" Enceladus stopped chanting at the flames. He turned towards them and grinned, revealing fangs like a saber-toothed tiger's. "Well," the giant rumbled, "what a nice surprise." Leo didn't like the sound of that. His hand closed on his wind-up gadget. He stepped sideways, edging his way toward the bulldozer. Coach Ed shouted, "Let the movie star go, you big ugly cupcake, or I'm gonna plant my hoof right up your—" "Coach," Jason said, "shut up." Enceladus roared with laughter. "I've forgotten how funny satyrs are. When we rule the world, I think I'll keep your kind around. You can entertain me while I eat all the other mortals." "Is that a compliment?" Hedge frowned at Leo. "I don't think that was a compliment." Enceladus opened his mouth wide, and his teeth began to glow. "Scatter!" Leo yelled. Jason and Hedge dove to the left as the giant blew fire, a furnace blast so hot even Festus would have been jealous. Leo dodged behind the bulldozer, wound up his homemade device, and dropped it in the driver's seat. Then he ran to the right, heading for the tree harvester. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Jason rise and charge the giant. Coach Edge ripped off his canary yellow jacket, which was now on fire, and bleated angrily. "I liked that outfit!" Then he raised his club and charged too. Before they could get very far, Enceladus slammed his spear against the ground. The entire mountain shook. The shockwave sent Leo sprawling. He blinked, momentarily stunned, though a haze of grass fire and bitter smoke confused him. He saw Jason staggering to his feet on the other side of the clearing. Coach Edge was knocked out cold. He'd fallen forward and hit his head on a log. His furry hindquarters were sticking straight up, with his canary yellow pants around his knees. A view Leo really didn't need. The giant bellowed, "I see you, Piper McLean." He turned and blew fire at a line of bushes to Leo's right. Piper ran into the clearing like a flushed quail, the underbrush burning behind her. Enceladus laughed. "I'm happy you've arrived, and you brought me prizes." Leo's got twisted. This was the moment Piper had warned them about. They'd played right into Enceladus's hands. The giant must have read Leo's expression, because he laughed even louder. "That's right, son of a Festus. I didn't expect you all to stay alive this long, but it doesn't matter. By bringing you here, Piper McLean has sealed the deal. If she betrays you, I'm as good as my word. She can take her father and go, and go. What do I care about a movie star? Leo could see Piper's dad more clearly now. He wore a ragged dress shirt and torn slacks. His bare feet were caked with mud. He wasn't completely unconscious, because he lifted his head and groaned. Yup. Tristan McLean, all right. Leo had seen that face in enough movies, but he had a nasty cut down the side of his face, and he looked thin and sickly. Not heroic at all. "Dad!" Piper yelled. Mr. McLean blinked, trying to focus. "Pipes? Where?" Piper drew her dagger and faced Uncladus. "Let him go!" Of course, dear. Of course, dear," the giant rumbled. "Swear your loyalty to me, and we have no problem. Only these others must die." Piper looked back and forth between Leo and her dad. "He'll kill you," Leo warned. "Don't trust him." "Oh, come now," Uncladus bellowed. "You know I was born to fight Athena herself. Mother Gaia made each of us giants with a specific purpose, designed to fight and destroy a particular god. I was Athena's nemesis, the anti-Athena, you might say. I was Athena's. Oh, compared to some of my brethren, I am small. But I am clever, and I keep my bargain with you, Piper. That I will. It is part of my plan." Jason was on his feet now, lance ready, but before he could act, Uncladus roared, a call so loud it echoed down the valley and was probably heard all the way to San Francisco. At the edge of the woods, half a dozen ogre-like creatures rose up. Leo realized with nauseating certainty that they hadn't simply been hiding there. They'd risen straight out of the earth. The ogres shuffled forwards. They were small compared to Uncladus, about 7 feet tall. Each one of them had 6 arms, 1 pair in the regular spot, then an extra pair sprouting out the top of their shoulders, and another set shooting from the sides of their rib cages. They wore only ragged leather loincloths, and even across the clearing, Leo could smell them. 6 guys who never bathed, with 6 armpits each. Leo decided if he survived this day, he'd have to take a 3-hour shower just to forget the stench. Leo stepped towards Piper. "Oh, what are those?" Her blade reflected the purple light of the bonfire. "Giginis. Giaginis." "In English?" Let's see. Giginis, I think it's pronounced. Giginis. Giginis. "In English?" "The Earthborn," she said. "6-armed giants who fought Jason. The first Jason." "Very good, my dear." Uncladus sounded delighted. "They used to live on a miserable place in Greece called Bear Mountain. Mount Diablo is much nicer. They are lesser children of Mother Earth. but they serve their purpose. They're good with construction equipment. Vroom, vroom, one of the Earthborn bellowed, and the others took up the chant, each moving his 6 hands as though driving a car, as if it were some kind of weird religious ritual. Vroom, vroom. Yes, thank you, boys, Uncle Etta said. They also have a score to settle with heroes. Especially anyone named Jason. Jason! The Earthborn screamed. They all picked up clumps of earth, which solidified in their hands, turning to nasty, pointed stones. What? Jason! Kill Jason! Uncle Etta smiled. You see, Piper, you have no choice. Save your father, or try to save your friends and face certain death. Piper stepped forwards. Her eyes blazed with such rage, even the Earthborn backed away. She radiated power and beauty, but it had nothing to do with her clothes, nor her makeup. You will not take the people I love, she said. None of them. Her words rippled across the clearing with such force, the Earthborn muttered, Okay, sorry, and began to retreat. Stand your ground, fools! Uncle Etta bellowed. He snarled at Piper. This is why we wanted you alive, my dear. You could have been so useful to us. But as you wish. Earthborn, I will show you Jason. Leo's heart sank, but the giant didn't point to Jason. He pointed to the other side of the bonfire, where Tristan McLean hung helpless and half-conscious. There is Jason, Uncle Etta said with pleasure. Tear him apart! Leo's biggest surprise. One look from Jason, and all 3 of them knew the game plan. When had that happened? That they could reach each other so well? Jason charged on Gladys, while Piper rushed to her father, and Leo dashed for the tree harvester, which stood between Mr. McLean and the Earthborn. The Earthborn were fast, but Leo ran like a storm spirit. He leapt toward the harvester from 5 feet away and slammed into the driver's seat. His hands flew across the controls, and the machines responded with unnatural speed, coming to life as if it knew how important this was. Ha! Leo screamed and swung the crane arm through the bonfire, toppling burning logs onto the Earthborn and spraying sparks everywhere. 2 giants went down under the fiery avalanche and melted back into the earth, hopefully to stay for a while. The other 4 ogres stumbled across burning logs and hot coals, while Leo brought the harvester around. He smacked a button, and on the end of the crane arm, the wicked rotating blades began to whir. Out of the corner of his eye, he could see Piper at the stake, cutting her father free. On the other side of the clearing, Jason fought the giant, somehow managing to dodge his massive spear, then blasts of fiery breath. Coach Edge was still heroically passed out, with his goat tail sticking up in the air. The whole side of the mountain would soon be ablaze. The fire wouldn't bother Leo, but if his friends got trapped up here... No, he had to act quickly. One of the Earthborn, apparently not the most intelligent one, charged the tree harvester, and Leo swung the crane arm in his direction. As soon as the blades touched the ogre, he dissolved like wet clay and splattered all over the clearing. Most of him flew into Leo's face. Yuck. He spit clay out of his mouth and turned the harvester toward the 3 remaining Earthborn, who backed up quickly. Bad. Vroom. One yelled. Yeah, that's right, Leo yelled at him. You want some bad vroom vroom? Come on! Unfortunately, they did. 3 ogres with 6 arms each, throwing large, hard rocks at super speed, and Leo knew it was over. Somehow, he launched himself in a backward somersault off the harvester, half a second before a boulder demolished the driver's seat. Rocks slammed into metal. By the time Leo stumbled to his feet, the harvester looked like a crushed soda can, sinking in the mud. Dozer! Leo yelled. The ogres were picking up more clumps of earth, but this time they were glaring in Piper's direction. 30 feet away, the bulldozer roared to life. Leo's makeshift gadget had done its job, burrowing into the Earth Mover's controls and giving it a temporary life of its own. It roared towards the enemy. Just as Piper cut her father free and caught him in her arms, the giants launched their second volley of stones. The dozer swiveled in the mud, skidding to intercept, and most of the rock slammed into its shovel. The force was so great it pushed the dozer back. 2 rocks ricocheted and struck their throwers. 2 more Earthborn melted into clay. Unfortunately, 1 rock hit the dozer's engine, sending up a cloud of oily smoke, and the dozer groaned to a stop. Another great toy, broken. Piper dragged her father below the ridge. The last Earthborn charged after her. Leo was out of tricks, but he couldn't let that monster get to Piper. He ran forward, straight through the flames, and grabbed something, anything, from his tool belt. Hey, stupid! He yelled and threw a screwdriver at the Earthborn. It didn't kill the ogre, but it sure got his attention. The screwdriver sank hilt deep into the Earthborn's forehead, like he was made of Play-Doh. The Earthborn yelped in pain and skittered to a halt. He pulled out the screwdriver, turned and glared at Leo. Sadly, this last ogre looked like the biggest and nastiest of the bunch. Gaia had really gone all out creating him, with extra muscle upgrades, deluxe ugly face, the whole package. Oh great, Leo thought. I've made a friend. You die, the Earthborn roared. Friend aviation dies. The ogre scooped up handfuls of dirt, which immediately hardened into rock cannonballs. Leo's mind went blank. He reached into his tool belt, but he couldn't think of anything that would help. He was supposed to be clever, but he couldn't craft or build or tinker his way out of this one. Fine, he thought. I'll go out blaze of glory style. He burst into flames and yelled, Hephaestus! And charged at the ogre barehanded. He never got there. A blur of turquoise and black flashed behind the ogre. A gleaming bronze blade sliced up one side of the Earthborn and down the other. 6 large arms dropped to the ground, boulders rolling out of their useless hands. The Earthborn looked down, very surprised. He mumbled, Arms go bye-bye. Then he melted into the ground. Hey, Ava, what's going on? How you doing? How's the day been? And welcome. I'm glad you made it, and I hope you enjoy the story. I'm doing mighty fine. I've been having trouble with sleep recently. A lot of turmoil surrounding just sleep in general. Either getting too little sleep or sleeping too much. Nightmares at night. Feeling restless, like when I try to go to bed. Stuff like that. But other than that, the daytime has been quite swell. Hey, it's okay, Ava. Don't worry about it. To give you a quick update on what the plan is going forward, the weekend was rough for me, but it gave me some time to think about what I want to do with the schedule. I'm planning on streaming on Tuesdays and then Thursdays through Sunday. So I'll be taking Mondays and Wednesdays off, but hopefully streaming the rest of the days. Yeah, dude. P-dubs, I know. Dude, he was about to kamikaze. He literally said blaze of glory style. That was an intense moment, dude. Right on. I'm glad you'll be here. And I think my roommates are doing the fire thing in the other room. It is quite warm now. And I want to open up my window further to let in the cool air, but there is a spider in between the screen and the window. Like in that little in-between area. I thought that screen was supposed to stop stuff like that from happening. But alas. Yeah, dude, it's just chilling there. In a way, I'm just praying that the spider will sort of be like a protector more than anything else, because it seems really content there, you know? And if it wants to just like capture bugs and stuff before they get into my room, that's cool. That's freaking awesome. I'm A-okay with that. But I don't know. I just hope it doesn't have any malicious intent. Dude, P-dubs. I would scream so loud. I would freeze. I would freeze. That tends to be what happens to me if I catch like an insect of any kind, specifically if it's a roach or a spider. Either as soon as I wake up, when I'm still trying to wake up, or when I'm about to go to bed. Those are the two specific times that scare the life out of me if I just see out of the corner of my eye some sort of creepy crawly. Oh, well, definitely keep your glasses on. wonder if the spider dude is still there. Hang on. Brief intermission. I want to go check. Woo. Yeah, he's still chilling there. Gosh. You ever see an insect and you know that it's like it's fine, but but you see the insect and it immediately gives you like a crawl up your skin? And especially with spiders. That tends to happen to me. Like even though I know where he is and I know he's just gonna stay there and do his thing. It still doesn't hesitate to just make me painfully aware of every sensation on my skin. Oh man, good stuff. Oh, no worries, Finn. I'm glad you're able to enjoy the story as you play with your friends. Evolution, man. It seems like a really chill spider, so I'm gonna believe wholeheartedly that guy's he's cool. He's cool. He's just there to protect me from insects. Ava, stop that. I will not have this negative thinking. Innocent until proven guilty. Alright, back to the story. Piper stood there, breathing hard, her dagger covered with clay. Her dad sat at the ridge, dazed and wounded, but still alive. Piper's expression was ferocious, almost crazy, like a cornered animal. Leo was glad she was on his side. "Nobody hurts my friends," she said, and with a sudden warm feeling, Leo realized she was talking about him. Then she yelled, "Come on!" Leo saw that the battle wasn't over. Jason was still fighting the giant, Uncle Adas. And it wasn't going well. Snap. We'll at least read one more chapter. We might jump straight into the third too before the break. 43. Jason. When Jason's lance broke, he knew he was dead. The battle had started well enough. Jason's instincts kicked in, and his gut told him he'd dueled opponents almost this big before. Size and strength equaled slowness, so Jason just had to be quicker, pace himself, wear out his opponent, and avoid getting smashed or flame-broiled. He rolled away from the giant's first spear thrust and jabbed on Gladys's ankle. Jason's javelin managed to pierce the thick dragon hide, and gold ichor, the blood of immortals, trickled down the giant's clawed foot. Gladys bellowed in pain and blasted him with fire. Jason scrambled away, rolling behind the giant, and struck again behind his knee. It went on like that for seconds, minutes, It was hard to judge. Jason heard combat across the clearing, construction equipment grinding, fire roaring, monsters shouting, and rocks smashing into metal. He heard Leo and Piper yelling defiantly, which meant they were still alive. Jason tried not to think about it. He couldn't afford to get distracted. Gladys's spear missed him by a millimeter. Jason kept dodging, but the ground stuck to his feet. Gaia was getting stronger, and the giant was getting faster. Gladys might be slow, but he wasn't dumb. He began anticipating Jason's moves, and Jason's attacks were only annoying him, making him more enraged. I am not some minor monster, Gladys bellowed. I am a giant, born to destroy gods. Your little gold toothpick can't kill me, boy. Jason didn't waste energy replying. He was already tired. The ground clung to his feet, making him feel like he weighed an extra 100 pounds. The air was full of smoke that burned his lungs. Fires roared around him, stoked by the winds, and the temperature was approaching the heat of an oven. Jason raised his javelin to block the giant's next strike. A big mistake. Don't fight force with force. Don't fight force with force. A voice chided him. The wolf Lupa. Who told him long ago? He managed to deflect the spear, but it grazed his shoulder, and his arm went numb. He backed up, almost tripping over a burning log. He had to delay, to keep the giant's attention fixed on him while his friends dealt with the Earthborn and rescued Piper's dad. He couldn't fail. He retreated, trying to lure the giant to the edge of the clearing. Gladys could sense his weariness. The giant smiled, baring his fangs. The mighty Jason Grace. The mighty Jason Grace. He taunted. Yes, we know about you, son of Jupiter. The one who led the assault on Mount Orthus. The one who single-handedly slew the Titan Krios and toppled the Black Throne. Jason's mind reeled. He didn't know these names, yet they made his skin tingle, as if his body remembered the pain that his mind didn't. What are you talking about? He asked. He realized his mistake when Gladys breathed fire. Distracted, Jason moved too slowly. The blast missed him, but heat blistered his back. He slammed into the ground, his clothes smoldering. He was blinded from ash and smoke, choking as he tried to breathe. He scrambled back as the giant spear cleaved the ground between his feet. Jason managed to stand. If he could only summon one good blast of lightning, but he was already drained, and in this condition, the effort might kill him. He didn't even know if electricity would harm the giant. Death in battle is honorable. Death in battle is honorable, said Lupa's voice. That's real comforting, Lupa, Jason thought. One last try. Jason took a deep breath and charged. Uncladus let him approach, grinning with anticipation. At the last second, Jason faked his strike and rolled between the giant's legs. He came up quickly, thrusting with all his might, ready to stab the giant in the small of his back. But Uncladus anticipated the trick. He stepped aside, with too much speed and agility for a giant, as if the earth were helping him move. He swept his spear sideways, met Jason's javelin, and with a snap, like a shotgun blast, the golden weapon shattered. The explosion was hotter than the giant's breath, blinding Jason with golden light. The force knocked him off his feet and squeezed the breath out of him. When he regained his focus, he was sitting at the rim of a crater. Uncladus stood at the other side, staggering and confused. The javelin destruction had released so much energy. It had blasted a perfect cone-shaped pit 30 feet deep, fusing the dirt and rock into a slick, glassy substance. Jason wasn't sure how he'd survived, but his clothing was steaming. He was out of energy. He had no weapon. And Uncladus was still very much alive. Jason tried to get up, but his legs were like lead. Uncladus blinked at the destruction, then laughed. Impressive. Unfortunately, that was your last trick, demigod. Uncladus leapt the crater in a single bound, planting his feet on either side of Jason. The giant raised his spear, its tip hovering 6 feet over Jason's chest. And now, Uncladus said, my first sacrifice to Gaia. To Gaia. And that's the end of our first 2 chapters. Oh, man. Oh, man. I mean, you say, and then winning, Ava, but does he win? Does he win, though? Because I don't know if I'm seeing any more Jason chapters coming up. No, I'm just kidding. He's got the, that whole main character hero protection thing. I forget what they call that. It's like a specific word for it, right? Protagonist protection or something? Yeah, that's it. Plot armor. That's okay. It's still a tense scenario. It's a moment where he certainly believes he's about to die. Which I think helps to not take away from the impact of the moment too much. Even if we know that there is plot armor, if we think about it from his perspective, right? If we really put ourselves in Jason's shoes, he believes he's about to die. And that's a heavy situation to be put into. I mean, being loomed over by a legitimate giant, holding a massive spear. I said sphere again, sorry. A massive spear, hovering 6 feet above your chest. Exclaiming that he's about to become the first sacrifice. Gosh. Oh, that junk is scary. No doubt about it. That's funny. Jason has the ability of both fight and legitimate flight. One thing's for sure. I have yet to see a demigod freeze. Have we seen a demigod freeze? Because that's what happens, right? In a fight or flight scenario. We think there's only two options a lot of times, but there's fight, flight, or freeze. Better or worse than Leo's fight? I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it would probably feel longer. You know, I feel like Leo was in this like blur of action and stuff, but the experience of fighting something that is greater than yourself and knowing that it's just a matter of time before you get worn down and eventually slaughtered, I feel like that would make it feel like a much longer fight. Fight, flight, or deer in headlights. Or deer in headlight. Isn't the ADHD thing supposed to get rid of the freeze? I think so, yeah. I think so. But I'm trying to think. I feel like if anybody... Has that happened to Grover? Did that ever happen to Grover? Because he's not a demigod. And I'm like, it's in the back of my head, but I feel like Annabeth, it happened to her once as well. And it wasn't like I don't think it was a scenario where like either you fight or run. She froze up because she was put in a scenario where she had to make that big decision, right? And she froze up, like for the first time, not feeling as though she had the right thing to say. Not knowing the right answer, you know? I'm sure it's happened, but it's certainly not common with demigods. Because they got the ADHD thing going on. But all that to say, you know, fight, flight, or freeze can come up in different scenarios rather than just legitimate fights to the death. You know, it can come up due to uncomfortable conversation or arguments and things like that. In fact, didn't it happen to Leo? No, he wasn't. That's right. Gaia locked the door on him. I was trying to remember if when he saw that the building was burning behind him, if he froze up and didn't rush in because he froze up. I don't know. But it was because Gaia locked the door behind him, you know, on his mother's death. I feel like Leo especially is not prone to freezing. He's about action, and honestly, I wouldn't recommend freezing to anyone. It's normally best to take action. It's good to know when to walk away, but a lot of times, I think acting is the right thing to do. Because it's at least doing something. Causing some sort of change. Alrighty, folks. Will Jason live or die? Wasn't the whole reason the buildings burned is because Leo took action? That's right. He shot a blast at Gaia, didn't he? And it started the fire? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so obviously it's not an ultimatum, like it's not a suggestion to act in every scenario. But I found in my life, at least particularly, acting is the thing to do. but if you ever come across if you ever come across Mother Earth appearing to you, locking the door to you and your mother's workshop, just don't do anything. don't do anything. No, heck yeah, B-dubs. I'm all about it, and that's part of what I feel makes what we do here, or what I do here, different from just an audiobook, is that we do get the chance to sit around and have kind of like a chapter by chapter discussion about what we feel we can draw from the chapters, how we feel about certain parts, laugh about certain quips from a certain son of Hephaestus. It's good stuff. Can we talk about for a second though that Leo was about to sacrifice himself? I feel like Leo has quite a disregard for his own life and safety. You know? Because I know he was doing it for Piper, and because he cares about his friends so much. But I don't know how much he cares about himself, you know? That's what I'm drawing from it. Yeah, he's quite ready to sacrifice himself. And I think wasn't there another scenario where he was about to do that? B-dubs. No matter how bad the thing we do in our past is, it's important to find grace. To still care about ourselves. Especially since the whole killing his mom thing wasn't directly his fault. And even if it was, or I don't know, it was for real an accident. And his mom would want that grace to get to him. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we actually see a number of examples. Like in that moment, he wanted to rush into the building, not necessarily knowing for sure that he was resistant to fire. He probably would have rather run in there and die along with his mother. Huh? Yeah. It doesn't help that these guys are in their teen years. He is really young. Man. Yeah, that's a pretty normal thing that a lot of kids experience, I think, around that time. I know I did, and it manifests in various ways. For me, it was much like Leo's, where I didn't have much regard for my own life, so I figured the best thing I can do is make others' lives as enjoyable as possible, you know? Help others to smile and self-sacrifice in any way I could to care for others. But hopefully, as we follow him along these books, maybe that's something that he'll work through. I'm hoping that they address it more going forwards. And I'm glad that his friends, I think, see it and understand it. Piper and Jason both. Man. Whew. Leo is an interesting character. I understand why he's a fan favorite. I mean, heck, he's got to be my favorite out of this series. If not simply because of how much I relate to his story or his character. Oh yeah, I forgot that they put the gods in their descriptions, like a glossary of the gods in the back of the book. They started doing that in this series. It's pretty helpful. He's the only reason? One thing that really kept me going, I of course grew close, and I think this is a brilliant strategy for bringing you in and getting you closer to new characters in the world and in the series. But something that got me when I first started reading it, I had to know what happened to Percy. As soon as I found out that he went missing, I had to know. And so of course I was going to keep on reading, if not for that simple fact. And then going through the story, I grew to care for the new characters as well. You don't really like Percy? Interesting. Why don't you like him? Do you just not connect with him, or? He's annoying. He gets better throughout the series, don't he? He is a bit of a crumb cake in the first couple. But but he gets better throughout the series. Especially because, and I think it's partially purposeful, like how how I don't know, how edgy he is, and how annoying he is, right? Because he's 12 at the start. Rick pulled a Dragon Ball Z, but actually had characters to grow and support it. Yeah. True. I do wonder, I'd kind of like to look into where Riordan draws his inspiration. What did he watch growing up? What were some of his favorite stories that influenced him and got him into the idea of starting writing? I know Greek mythology and mythology in general probably has a big part to play in it, but I wonder what other media. Actually, that'd be really cool. I want to do, if I can find a good paper, or if I can compile a good bit of research on that subject about Riordan's past, we could do an episode after we're done with this series on what led dear Riordan to create these books and to become an author. Get to learn a little more about his story. That'd be cool. Whew. All right, guys, we're gonna jump to a little break. So, don't go nowhere, but I encourage everybody to, I think it was bedtime stories to his son. Yo, I hope so. I hope so. But during this break, I encourage everybody to stand up, stretch out a little bit. Even if you're about to settle in for bed, that's one of the best times to stretch out. Take a little breather, go get yourself some water, sody pop, popcorn, anything else you might want or need, maybe some tea or something. And we will return in about 10 minutes-ish. Cool beans, don't go nowhere. And when we return, we will find out whether or not Jason survives his duel with Enceladus, the antithesis to Athena, the giant menace that has captured Piper's father. Also, will they get Coach Hedge out of there? As Coach Hedge is slumped on his face with his tail in the air. We'll find out soon. So it's about 10:12 where I'm at. So we'll be back no later than 10... I'll say no later than 10:25, but expect more around 10:22. Alright, cool beans. I'll see you guys very soon, and enjoy the jams while I'm away. Yeah, be right back.
Persisting heaviness feels like pouring rain. Why must you persist? Oh, heaviness feels like pouring rain. Holding up this weight, this weight might break. This weight might break me. I stopped answering calls. Had to get more involved with finding myself. I'm two hands away from flowers at my funeral. Here lies the main. I'm two hands away from eulogies, but I don't wanna die today. They would say he's too young to be a martyr. Never got the chance to live free of the trauma. Never trusted him unless it was his father. Hope it's true what they said about karma. Cause I'm a degenerate and my meds don't work. I'm always skipping school cause Jack is on my shirt. I act up cause my liver only keeps getting so worse. And I act up cause all my friends keep taking rides in a hearse. So fuck church, I'm hurt, that burnt, need more paranoid. Don't lose faith in me, boy, I'm annoyed. I avoid and I'm sorry that I toyed with your heart. We apart, now I'm hurt and that burnt. I need more, give me more or I'll die. I'm afraid I won't survive and I tried, fuck I tried. Now I'm lying on the street, need a ride to get high. I can't stand being me, need a ride to get high. I can't stand being me. Fuck. feels like pouring rain. Why must you persist? Oh, heaviness feels like pouring rain. Holding up this weight might break. This weight might break. Look, I create to distract myself from the fact that when I look at myself, I avoid eye contact. I feel like I overact, worried to death of the traits that I lack. Get rid of these flashbacks. I didn't ask to go back. Stand back and look back at all of my setbacks. So many times I have turned back to kick that, grabbed onto my drawbacks and come back to cut back. But how can a sad sack like me come back when I keep all of my drawbacks in my backpack? Like a bunch of fucking useless knick-knacks. I'm sure I'll bounce back. But for now, guess I'll just hang back. I feel this ice. It's heavy, it's heavy. It's like pouring rain. Involved with finding myself too high to it's like pouring rain. Holding up this weight might break. This weight might break me. But I don't wanna die today. Never got the chance to live free of the trauma. He's too young to be a martyr. Never got the chance to live free of the trauma.
What you playing? I had an idea. Well, a song idea, but also an idea.
Let's hear it.
Yes, please.
I don't need you. I don't need you.
Room for 3 more?
I don't need you. But I want you to love me. I don't need you. But I want you to know me. Change your mind.
What if something bad happens?
Well, what if something good happens?
I need you. Need you. I need you.
Always.
I need you.
Always.
Need you. I need you.
Always. So why didn't you just come back?
I want to, but I just.
I need you. Need you. I need you.
Always.
I need you.
Always.
Need you. I need you.
Always.
Let's hear it. I might have overreacted.
Need you. Need you. I need you. Need you. I but I want you to love me. But I want you to know me.
Let's hear it.
I don't love me. I don't know me. But I want you to love me. Change your mind.
Oh, Stephen, there's one more thing I have to mention.
What is it?
I love you. Bye.
See you later.
No, dude, I freaking love that song. I mean, the ending makes me smile every single time. Oh, and there's one more thing I forgot to mention. What is it? I love you. Bye. Oh, it makes you want to cry. Yeah, it's got a subtle sad message. I'm sure you guys probably caught on to it. Because in truth, it's a pretty inspiring song. You know, this idea that, hey, I don't need you. I'll be okay on my own, but I want you to know me. because I think I'm pretty rad. I think it's a song about believing in oneself, you know. But at the end there, I chopped up the lyrics to say, I don't know me. I don't love me. Yeah, dude. Which, I mean, I wanted to just express like the other side of the coin, you know? Those times where instead of truly believing in oneself, I start to feel like I don't know me. And I don't care about me. Again, going back to what we were talking about with Leo. Yeah, man. Oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry. It's still got the positive side of the coin. You know, that idea that it's never too late to change your mind. Right? If I do get into that mode of not caring about me and not believing in myself, I can still change my mind. And decide, you know what? I can do that. I can care about me. I can love me just as others do. Just as I love others. Oh, too true, B-dubs. One of my kids on Monday in my afternoon class that I was coaching, I mentioned, man, it's getting brisk out there. We're heading away from summer. And he was like, oh, dude, yeah, you know what it is. It's getting close to the most wonderful time of the year. And he like spread out his arms super wide and was like, the most wonderful time of the year. And dude, it made me smile. Like, oh man. Oh, you dude. You little goober. Such a good kid. Heck yeah. Clap, clap, clap is right. Good. And that's what Christmas is meant to do. Celebrating a beautiful time. It's kind of like a burst of positivity amidst the winter months, which are often more melancholy for most. Which is cool. So, we ready for some more story time? I know I'm ready. So, settle in, get comfy, get cozy. I went and made myself some tea, so I hope you guys got yourself a little something to calm the nerves and soothe the soul and help you settle in for the next few chapters of The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. Chapter 44, Jason. Time seemed to slow down, which was really frustrating, since Jason still couldn't move. He felt himself sinking into the earth like the ground was a waterbed. Comfortable, urging him to relax and give up. He wondered if the stories of the underworld were true. Would he end up in the fields of punishment or Elysium? If he couldn't remember any of his deeds, would they still count? He wondered if the judges would take that into consideration, or if his dad, Zeus, would write him a note.
Please excuse Jason from eternal damnation. He has amnesia.
Jason couldn't feel his arms. He could see the tip of the spear coming towards his chest in slow motion. He knew he should move, but he couldn't seem to do it. Funny, he thought. All that effort to stay alive, and then... boom. You just lie there helplessly while the fire-breathing giant impales you. Leo's voice yelled, "Heads up!" A large black metal wedge slammed into Enceladus with a massive thunk. Thunk. The giant toppled over and slid into the pit. "Jason, get up!" Piper called. Her voice energized him, shook him out of his stupor. He sat up, his head groggy, while Piper grabbed him under his arms and hauled him to his feet. "Don't die on me," she ordered. "You are not dying on me." "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." He felt lightheaded. But she was about the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. Her hair was smoldering. Her face was smudged with soot. She had a cut on her arm, her dress was torn, and she was missing a boot. Like he said, beautiful. About 100 feet behind her, Leo was standing over a piece of construction equipment, a long cannon-like thing with a single massive piston, the edge broken clean off. Then Jason looked down into the crater and saw where the other end of the hydraulic axe had gone. Enceladus was struggling to rise, an axe blade the size of a washing machine stuck in his breastplate. Amazingly, the giant managed to pull the axe blade free. He yelled in pain, and the mountain trembled. Golden ichor soaked the front of his armor, but Enceladus stood. Shakily, he bent down to retrieve his spear. "Good try. Good try." The giant winced. "But I cannot be beaten." As they watched, the giant's armor mended itself, and the ichor stopped flowing. Even the cuts on his dragon scale legs, which Jason had worked so hard to make, were now just pale scars. Leo ran up to them, saw the giant, and cursed. "What is it with this guy? Die already!" "My fate is preordained," Enceladus said. "Giants cannot be killed by gods nor heroes." "Only by both. Only by both," Jason said. The giant's smile faltered, and Jason saw in his eyes something like fear. "It's true, isn't it? Gods and demigods have to work together to kill you." "You will not live long enough to try." The giant started stumbling up the crater's slope, slipping on the glassy sides. Anyone have a god handy? Leo asked. Jason's heart filled with dread. He looked at the giant below them, struggling to get out of the pit, and he knew what had to happen. Leo, he said, if you've got a rope in that tool belt, get it ready. He leapt at the giant with no weapon but his bare hands. Ungladus! Piper yelled. Look behind you! It was an obvious trick, but her voice was so compelling, even Jason bought it. The giant said, What? And turned like there was an enormous spider on his back. What? Jason tackled his legs. At just the right moment, the giant lost his balance. Anglada slammed into the crater and slid to the bottom. While he tried to rise, Jason put his arms around the giant's neck. When Anglada struggled to his feet, Jason was riding his shoulders. Get off! Anglada screamed. He tried to grab Jason's legs, but Jason scrambled around, squirming and climbing over the giant's hair. Father, Jason thought, if I've ever done anything good, anything you approve of, help me now. I offer my own life. Just save my friends. Suddenly, he could smell the metallic scent of a storm. Darkness swallowed the sun. The giant froze, sensing it too. Jason yelled to his friends, Hit the deck! And every hair on his head stood straight up. Crack! Lightning surged through Jason's body, straight through Anglada's and into the ground. The giant's back stiffened, and Jason was thrown clear. When he regained his bearings, he was slipping down the side of the crater, and the crater was cracking open. The lightning bolt had split the mountain itself. The earth rumbled and tore apart, and Angladus's legs slid into the chasm. He clawed helplessly at the glassy sides of the pit, and just for a moment managed to hold on to the edge, his hands trembling. He fixed Jason with a look of hatred. You've won nothing, boy. My brothers are rising, and they are 10 times as strong as I. We will destroy the gods at their roots. You will die, and Olympus will die with... The giant lost his grip and fell into the crevice. The earth shook. Jason fell towards the rift. Grab hold! Grab hold! Leo yelled. Jason's feet were at the edge of the chasm when he grabbed the rope, and Leo and Piper pulled him up. They stood together, exhausted and terrified, as the chasm closed like an angry mouth. The ground stopped pulling at their feet. For now, Gaia was gone. The mountainside was on fire. Smoke billowed hundreds of feet into the air. Jason spotted a helicopter, maybe firefighters or reporters, coming towards them. All around them was carnage. The Earthborn had melted into piles of clay, leaving behind only their rock missiles and some nasty bits of loincloth. But Jason figured they would reform soon enough. Construction equipment lay in ruins. The ground was scarred and blackened. Coach Hedge started to move. He sat up with a groan and rubbed his head. His canary yellow pants were now the color of Dijon mustard mixed with mud. He blinked and looked around at the battle scene. Did I do this?
Did I do this?
Before Jason could reply, Hedge picked up his club and got shakily to his feet.
Yeah! You wanted some hoof! I gave you some hoof cupcakes! Who's the goat?
He did a little dance, kicking rocks and making what were probably rude satyr gestures to the piles of clay. Leo cracked a smile, and Jason couldn't help it. He started to laugh. It probably sounded a little hysterical, but it was such a relief to be alive, he didn't care. Then a man stood up across the clearing. Tristan McLean staggered forwards. His eyes were hollow, shell-shocked, like someone who just walked through a nuclear wasteland. "Piper," he called, his voice cracked. "Pipes. Pipes, what is..." He couldn't complete the thought. Piper ran over to him and hugged him tightly. But he almost didn't seem to know her. Jason had felt a similar way the morning at the Grand Canyon, when he woke with no memory. But Mr. McLean had the opposite problem. He had too many memories. Too much trauma his mind just couldn't handle. He was coming apart. "We need to get him out of here," Jason said. "Yeah, but how?" Leo said. "He's in no shape to walk." Jason glanced up at the helicopter, which was now circling directly overhead. "Can you make us a bullhorn or something?" he asked Leo. "Piper has some talking to do." "Piper has some talking to do." It's okay, Ava. You can laugh. Coach Edge is freaking hilarious. Dude, how is the Miz gonna explain that? Yikes. Oh, your joke? I don't know if I get it. Was it during the color of his pants part? Yeah, no, I know that it was about a gender reveal party, but I don't know what in reference, what it was referencing. I don't quite know the context. Because the fires were caused by one. Were caused by a gender reveal party? They were caused by a gender reveal... What? Yikes, dude. I didn't know. Big yikes. Whew. Sorry for assuming it was about Coach Edge. Alright, on we go. Chapter 45. Piper. Borrowing the helicopter was easy. Getting her dad on board was not. Piper needed only a few words through Leo's improvised bullhorn to convince the pilot to land on the mountain. The Park Service copter was big enough for medical evacuations or search and rescue, and when Piper told the very nice ranger pilot lady that it would be a great idea to fly them to Oakland Airport, she readily agreed. "No, Piper Piper's dad muttered as they picked him up off the ground. Piper, what? They were monsters. They were monsters. She needed both Leo's and Jason's help to hold him, while Coach Hedge gathered their supplies. Fortunately, Hedge had put his pants and shoes back on, so Piper didn't have to explain the goat legs. It broke Piper's heart to see her dad like this, pushed beyond the breaking point, crying like a little boy. She didn't know what the giant had done to him exactly, how the monsters had shattered his spirit. But she didn't think she could stand to find out. It'll be okay, Dad, she said, making her voice as soothing as possible. She didn't want to charm speak her own father, but it seemed the only way. These people are my friends. We're going to help you. You're safe now. He blinked and looked up at the helicopter rotors. Blades. They had a machine. So many blades. He had 6 arms. He had 6 arms. When they got him to the bay doors, the pilot came over to help. What's wrong with him? She asked. Smoke inhalation, Jason suggested. Or heat exhaustion. We should get him to a hospital, the pilot said. It's okay, Piper said. The airport is good. Yeah, the airport is good, the pilot agreed immediately. Then she frowned, as if uncertain why she'd changed her mind. Isn't he Tristan McLean from the movie star? Like from the movies? No, Piper said. He only looks like him. Forget it. Yeah, the pilot said. Only looks like him. She blinked, confused. I forgot what I was saying. Let's get going. Jason raised his eyebrows at Piper, obviously impressed. But Piper felt miserable. She didn't want to twist people's minds, convince them of things they didn't believe. It felt so bossy, so wrong, like something Drew would do back at camp, or Medea in her evil department store. And how would it help her father? She couldn't convince him he would be okay, or that nothing had happened. His trauma was just too deep. Finally, they got him on board, and the helicopter took off. The pilot kept getting questions over her radio, asking her where she was going, but she ignored them. They veered away from the burning mountain and headed toward the Berkeley Hills. Piper. Her dad grasped her hand and held on like he was afraid he'd fall. It's you. They told me... They told me you would die. They said things would happen. They said... It's me, Dad. It took all her willpower not to cry. She had to be strong for him. Everything's going to be okay. They were monsters. Monsters, he said. Real monsters. Earth spirits, right out of Grandpa Tom's stories. And the Earth Mother was angry with me. And the giant Tsukalu, breathing fire. He focused on Piper again, his eyes like broken glass, reflecting a crazy kind of light. He said you were a demigod. He said you were a demigod. Your mother was... Aphrodite, Piper said, goddess of love. He took a shaky breath, then seemed to forget how to exhale. Piper's friends were careful not to watch. Leo fiddled with a lug nut from his tool belt. Jason gazed at the valley below, the roads backing up as mortals stopped their cars and gawked at the burning mountain. Gleason chewed on the stub of his carnation, and for once, the satyr didn't look in the mood to yell nor boast. Tristan McLean wasn't supposed to be seen like this. He was a star. He was confident, stylish, suave, always in control. That was the public image he projected. Piper had seen the image falter before, but this was different. Now, it was broken, gone. I didn't know about Mom, Piper told him. Not until you were taken. When we found out where you were, we came right away. My friends helped me. No one will hurt you again. Her dad couldn't stop shivering. Your heroes. You and your friends? I can't believe it. You're a real hero. Not like me. Not like me. Not playing a part. I'm so proud of you, Pipes. But the words were muttered listlessly, in a semi-trance. He gazed down on the valley, and his grip on Piper's hand went slack. Your mother never told me. She thought it was for the best. It sounded lame, even to Piper, and no amount of charm speak could change that. But she didn't tell her dad what Aphrodite had really worried about. If he has to spend the rest of his life with those memories, knowing that gods and spirits walk the earth, it will shatter him. Piper felt inside the pocket of her jacket. The vial was still there, warm to her touch. But how could she erase his memories? Her dad finally knew who she was. He was proud of her. And for once, she was his hero. Not the other way around. He would never send her away now. They shared a secret. How could she go back to the way things were? She held his hand, speaking to him about small things. Her time at the wilderness school, her cabin at Camp Half-Blood. She told him how Coach Hedge ate carnations and got knocked on his butt on Mount Diablo. How Leo had tamed a dragon, and how Jason had made wolves back down by talking in Latin. Her friend smiled reluctantly as she recounted their adventures. Her dad seemed to relax as she talked, but he didn't smile. Piper wasn't even sure if he heard her. As they passed over the hills into the East Bay, Jason tensed. He leaned so far out the doorway, Piper was afraid he'd fall. He pointed. "What is that?" Piper looked down, but she didn't see anything interesting. Just hills, woods, houses, little roads snaking through the canyons. The highway cut through a tunnel in the hills, connecting the East Bay with the inland towns. "Where?" Piper asked. "That road," he said. "The one that goes through the hills." Piper picked up the comm helmet the pilot had given her and relayed a question over the radio. The answer wasn't very exciting. "She says it's Highway 24, Piper reported. "That's the Caldecott Tunnel." "Why?" Jason stared intently at the tunnel entrance, but he said nothing. It disappeared from view as they flew over downtown Oakland, but Jason still stared into the distance, his expression almost as unsettled as Piper's dad. Monsters, her dad said, a tear tracing his cheek. "I live in a world of monsters." And that ends that chapter. We got one more to read, but good God. Good Lord. Oh. Hey, thank you for that follow, Phantom. I appreciate that. I hope you're enjoying the bedtime story. This last one was intense. Whew. The man's been broken. Shattered. Good Lord. What do you guys think Piper's gonna do? I think she's probably going to, enjoy the feeling that they do share this secret for a short time, and then she's gonna give him the vial. That's my guess. I don't know for sure, though. I do not know for sure. But let's find out together. "46, Piper." Air traffic control didn't want to let an unscheduled helicopter land at the Oakland airport until Piper got on the radio. Then it turned out to be no problem. They unloaded on the tarmac, and everybody looked at Piper. "What now?" Jason asked her. She felt uncomfortable. She didn't want to be in charge, but for her dad's sake, she had to appear confident. Oh, sorry, before we continue on, can you guys hear the movie in the other room? Sorry, my roommates have it up a little louder than they normally do. Because if you guys can hear it, there's a movie? Hey, that's what I like to hear. Alright, good. If you can't hear it, then no worries. You can't hear it, but it's a real tiny amount. Alright, word. Probably nothing to fret over then. Nice, nice. Good stuff. I apologize about that. She must be getting to like the intense parts. The intense parts of the movie. You know how like every movie has louder portions where it goes like boom, 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 boom. Has those like da-da kind of notes. Quieter than the rain even. Good, good. Honest to goodness, that's partially why I put the rain in. Is just in case there's some unwanted background noise, it blends in a little better. Hey, Lay. How you doing? How you feeling today? I'm so glad you came by. We're just getting into the final chapter of the night. Maybe. I don't know. These chapters went by somewhat quick, so we may read another. We'll see. We got time, for sure. She had no plan. She just remembered that he'd flown into Oakland, which meant his private plane would still be here. But today was the solstice. They had to save Era. They had no idea where to go, or if they were even too late. And how could she leave her dad in this condition? First thing, she said, I have to get my dad home. I'm sorry, guys. Their faces fell. Oh, Leo said. I mean, absolutely. He needs you right now. We can take it from here. Pipes, no. Her dad had been sitting in the helicopter doorway, a blanket around his shoulders. But he stumbled to his feet. You have a mission. A quest. I can't. I'll take care of him, said Coach Hedge. Piper stared at him. The satyr was the last person she'd expected to offer. You? She asked. I'm a protector, Gleason said. That's my job. Not fighting. As much as I do love busting heads. Not fighting. Oh, that's my job. Not fighting. He sounded a little crestfallen, and Piper realized maybe she shouldn't have recounted how he got knocked unconscious in the battle. In his own way, maybe the satyr was as sensitive as her dad. The hedge straightened. Then hedge straightened and set his jaw. Of course, I'm good at fighting too. He glared at them all, daring them to argue. Yes, Jason said. Terrifying, Leo agreed. The coach grunted. But I'm a protector, and I can do this. Your dad's right, Piper. You need to carry on with the quest. But... Piper's eyes stung, as if she were back in the forest fire. Dad... He held out his arms, and she hugged him. He felt frail. He was trembling so much, it scared her. Let's give them a minute, Jason said. They took the pilot a few yards down the tarmac. I can't believe it, her dad said. I failed you. No, Dad. The things they did, Piper. The visions they showed me. Dad, listen. She took out the vial from her pocket. Aphrodite gave me this for you. It takes away your recent memories. It'll make it like none of this ever happened. He gazed at her, as if translating her words from a foreign language. But you're a hero. I would forget that. Yes, Piper whispered. She forced an assuring tone into her voice. Yes, you would. It'll be like before. He closed his eyes and took a shaky breath. I love you, Piper. I always have. I sent you away because I didn't want you exposed to my life. Not the way I grew up. The poverty. The hopelessness. Not the Hollywood insanity either. I thought I was protecting you. He managed a brittle laugh. As if your life without me was better or safer. Piper took his hand. She'd heard him talking about protecting her before, but she'd never believed it. She'd always thought he was just rationalizing. Her dad seemed so confident and easygoing, like his life was a joyride. How could he claim she needed protecting from that? Finally, Piper understood he'd been acting for her benefit, trying not to show how scared and insecure he was. He really had been trying to protect her, and now his ability to cope had been destroyed. She offered him the vial. Take it. Maybe someday we'll be ready to talk about this again. When you're ready. When I'm ready, he murmured. You make it sound like I'm the one growing up. I'm supposed to be the parent. He took the vial. His eyes glimmered with a small, desperate hope. I love you, Pipes. I really do. I love you too, Dad. He drank the pink liquid. His eyes rolled up into his head, and he slumped forwards. Piper caught him, and her friends ran up to help.
Got him,
Hedge said. The satyr stumbled, but he was strong enough to hold Tristan McLean upright.
I already asked our ranger friend to call up his plane. It's on the way now. Home address?
Piper was about to tell him. Then a thought occurred to her. She checked her dad's pocket, and his BlackBerry was still there. It seemed bizarre that he'd still have something so normal after all he'd been through. But she guessed Uncladus hadn't seen any reason to take it. Everything's on here, Piper said. Address, his chauffeur's number. Just watch out for Jane. Please. Hedge's eyes lit up, like he sensed a possible fight.
Who's Jane?
By the time Piper explained, her dad's sleek, white Gulfstream had taxied next to the helicopter. Hedge and the flight attendant got Piper's dad on board. Then Hedge came down one last time to say his goodbyes. He gave Piper a hug and glared at Jason and Leo.
You cupcakes! Take care of this girl, you hear? Or I'm gonna make you do push-ups.
You got it, Coach. You got it, Coach, Leo said, a smile tugging at his mouth. No push-ups, Jason promised. Piper gave the old satyr one more hug. Thank you, Gleason. Take care of him, please.
I got this, McLean. He assured her. They got root beer and veggie enchiladas on this flight. And 100% linen napkins. Yum! I could get used to this.
Trotting up the stairs, he lost one shoe, and his hoof was visible for just a second. The flight attendant's eyes widened, but she looked away and pretended nothing was wrong. Piper figured she'd probably seen stranger things working for Tristan McLean. When the plane was heading down the runway, Piper started to cry. She'd been holding it in too long, and she just couldn't anymore. Before she knew it, Jason was hugging her. And Leo stood uncomfortably nearby, pulling Kleenex out of his tool belt. Your dad's in good hands, Jason said. You did amazing. She sobbed into his shirt. She allowed herself to be held for 6 deep breaths. 7. Then she couldn't indulge herself anymore. They needed her. The helicopter pilot was already looking uncomfortable, like she was starting to wonder why she'd flown them here. Thank you, guys, Piper said. She wanted to tell them how much they meant to her. They'd sacrificed everything, maybe even their quest, to help her. She couldn't repay them, couldn't even put her gratitude into words. But her friends' expressions told her they understood. Then, right next to Jason, the air began to shimmer. At first, Piper thought it was heat off the tarmac, or maybe gas fumes from the helicopter. But she'd seen something like this before in Medea's fountain. It was an iris message. An image appeared in the air, a dark-haired girl in silver winter camouflage, holding a bow. Jason stumbled back in surprise. Thalia! Thank the gods! Said the hunter. The scene behind her was hard to make out, but Piper heard yelling, metal clashing on metal, and explosions. We found her! Thalia said. Where are you? Oakland, he said. Where are you? The Wolf House! Oakland is no good. Oakland is good. You're not too far. We're holding off the Giants' minions, but we can't hold them forever. Get here before sunset, or it's all over. Then it's not too late? Piper cried. Hope surged through her, but Thalia's expression quickly dampened it. Not yet, Thalia said. But Jason, it's worse than I realized. Porphyrion is rising. Hurry. But where is the Wolf House? He pleaded. Our last trip, Thalia said, her image starting to flicker. The park. Jack London, remember? This made no sense to Piper, but Jason looked like he'd been shot. He trotted, his face pale. He tottered. Not trotted. What the heck? He tottered, his face pale, and the iris message disappeared. Bro, you alright? Leo asked.
You know where she is?
Yes, Jason said. Sonoma Valley. Not far. Not by air. Piper turned to the ranger pilot, who'd been watching all this with an increasingly puzzled expression. Ma'am? Piper said with her best smile. You don't mind helping us one more time, do you? I don't mind. The pilot agreed. We can't take a mortal into battle, Jason said. It's too dangerous. He turned to Leo. Do you think you could fly this thing? Leo's expression didn't exactly reassure Piper. But then he put his hands on the side of the helicopter, concentrating hard, as if listening to the machine. Bell 412 HP. Utility helicopter, Leo said. Composite, 4-blade main rotor, cruising speed 22 knots, service ceiling 20,000 feet. The tank is nearly full. Yeah, I can fly it. Yeah, I can fly it. Piper managed to smile at the ranger again. You don't have a problem with an underage, unlicensed kid borrowing your helicopter, do you? We'll return it. The pilot nearly choked on the words, but she got them out. I don't have a problem with that. Leo grinned. Hop in, kids. Uncle Leo's gonna take you for a ride. Puts on aviators. Ooh. Dude, we are approaching the end. Yeah, there's only 56 chapters. So about 9 more chapters left. Ha! Oh. Finally, some directions. I know, P-dubs. Holy heck. Holy heck. Yeah, almost done. Yeah, we'll be through this book in no time. I'm trying to decide. I'm certainly down to read one more chapter at least. If you guys are interested in keeping the stream going. But I don't know if there's anything in those last few chapters we might want to talk about first. Yo, that decision to steal away her father's memories. That was tough. And that whole idea of keeping a look of confidence on her face and remaining confident for the sake of her dad until finally her dad was gone and she just couldn't hold it in anymore. That's what happens when you repress emotions. It'll come out all the worse sooner or later. So guys, if you feel a good cry or a bad cry coming on, let it happen. Let the tears flow. Don't be like me. I swear, dude, anytime I feel tears coming on, I freaking fight them. I fight them. and it's weird because I'm cool with being vulnerable in every sense of being honest and open with others. But when it comes to crying in particular, I fight it. I think it's because growing up, I felt a sense of pride in the fact that I didn't cry very often. Like, it was very rare that I ever cried. And to me, I think it feels a little more sacred in that sense. You know, the less I cry, if I'm not one who is prone to crying, then the moments when I actually do let it go and wind up in tears, I feel like it'll mean more, you know? I don't know. It seems like seems like it goes against my previous statement of, if you ever feel cry coming on, let it out. Because in truth, yeah, it might, if I hold it in and wait till it explodes, then sure, it might feel more significant. But that's because I've been holding it back. I don't know. Yeah, I get that. I had to learn to let myself cry as an adult. And even my dad. Yeah, I feel like it's definitely an adult thing. Especially with, I don't know, like there's stereotypes put in place, especially for guys. I think it was even more intense in older days, but even still to this day, like there's a stigma around guys and crying. We're not meant to be as prone to tears. Crying cleans the windows of the soul. Crying cleans the windows of the soul. That's good. Yeah, man. I saw a guy. One of the guys in my group cried in the Bible study in the small groups that we break off to in the Bible study on Monday. It was a good thing. You could tell there was such a sense of relief afterwards. It was really good. And I nearly was brought to tears. But I dang fought against it again. I think my eyes had at least watered, which is good. But I don't think any of them slid out. I think I am most authentic when I cry. Physiologically, men have larger tear ducts. So it does take more tears to cry. What? That's wild. Legitimately, the way we were even constructed, the way we were built. Huh. Interesting. Maybe my tear ducts are just even bigger. Huh. I don't know. That is news to me. That's news to me too. I didn't even know. Man, does that mean it's harder for ladies to fight back tears? Or rather, is it truly easier for guys to fight back tears then? I feel like willpower comes into play a little bit there too, though. Another reason to drink more water. No doubt about it. Yeah, speaking of drinks, I forgot to check on my tea. See if it's cold enough. Yeah. Some good tea. Yeah, what are your guys' experience with crying? Just in general. Maybe to specify further, to bring it more into a specific question. Do you guys feel tears come on whenever you see another cry? Do your eyes water whenever you see another cry? Because I find that tends to happen to me. Yeah, we seem to. We seem to. But you'd be surprised. Weep with those who weep. Yeah, I feel like it's a sign of compassion. For sure. Since crying is such a universal thing, even if we don't necessarily know the other person's pain, we understand immediately if we see tears running down their face that they're in pain. You never cry when others cry. It depends for me. It really depends. Like there's a part of me that wants to hold them back so that I can appear confident and help them to come out of their tears and, you know, be strong, all that stuff. But there's also a sense in me that wants to cry along with them, to make clear my compassion, you know? Oh, my dreams are insane. I can feel everything, and everything seems real. Everything looks extremely real. It's to the point where my memories are mixing with dreams and reality together, because I can't remember what's real anymore. Please don't take any offense, but have you been doing any drugs at all? Because I know during my time with drugs, I came across that very situation, that same scenario, where I started to just have a warped sense of reality. I know that's a bit of a personal question. Nah, man, I'm the most sober person on earth. I'm 16 and I've never done drugs. Good, man. It's possible for that to happen, for our sense of reality to warp even without it, which is good. Which is not good, heck. I'm sorry, dude. That's a rough spot to be in. Are they good dreams? I guess that ought to be my first question. Are they good dreams? And how is it affecting your life? Right? Has this mixing of reality and dream been to the detriment of your life, or has it added something to it? You got lucid dreams. Interesting, man. I don't know if I've ever come across someone with that issue. I know I myself have only ever experienced lucid dreaming in 1 or 2 dreams throughout my life. I can't even imagine lucid dreaming every single night. That sounds wild. Yeah, I would just recommend, and in a lot of there's a few stories in the H.P. Lovecraft mythology, I guess you would call it. In some of H.P. Lovecraft's works, what happens a lot is that, or in this one particular story, I forget what it's called, the guy gets obsessed with dreaming and begins to believe that dreams are better than reality. That there's no point in being awake when the waking world is so mundane and crummy, and whereas in the dream, it can do anything, be anything. And there's infinite possibilities all under his control. All that, you know? But in the end, he eventually wishes for death. An endless dream. Right? So just be wary of that, for sure. And then, like, some dreams aren't realistic. And I completely lose control of my mind in those dreams. Like, what I'm dreaming isn't me at all. And I dream of weird things that I didn't want to dream about. Then right before I wake up, I know exactly when I regain consciousness. I don't like not having control of my own mind sometimes. Because sometimes I can't control it. It's true, man. Especially in dreams. That's the way it is for most others. Heck, a lot of the time my dreams don't make a lick of sense. And I have zero control over what happens in them, as far as I know. But, in the end, remember, it's just a dream. Once you wake up, you can go on with your day because it was just a dream. It wasn't real. Well, I'd like to read at least one more chapter. That way, on Thursday, we can do the finale. Yeah, I think we'll be able to do the finale on Thursday. I feel like I'm sleepwalking because of how realistic some of the dreams are. But then I check a piece of paper that I left next to my door, and it's exactly where I left it. So I didn't even get out of bed. I don't know what to tell you, man. There are probably people that are more equipped to answer questions like these. I know there are people who legitimately study sleep and dreams and the exact science behind it, and you know what goes into affecting our dreams and stuff like that. I don't know. Search around on the internet. You might find a resource or someone you could email about it. Set up an appointment or something. I'm happy to chat about it, but I'm warning you now. I only have so much wisdom. Oh, then I get weird dreams sometimes, like there's beeping sounds in the background. And just an eye staring at me for like an hour in my dream, and I can't escape it. That sounds terrifying. That sounds horrific. I hope you don't have that dream again, man. And I hope you find a sense of relief whenever you wake from dreams like that. Because I know whenever I have a nightmare, of some kind of horrific nightmare, whenever I wake up, at least the one good thing about nightmares is whenever I wake up, I feel a sense of relief. I can smile even when waking from a nightmare, because hey, thank goodness it was just a nightmare. But if it's really realistic, I can imagine that would cause more trauma than if it were more, I don't know, if it were more dreamlike. However, I don't know how that could be realistic, right? Because where in real life would that ever happen? If you truly can control dreams like this, do your best to think in the dream what is real and what could feasibly happen. Because as far as I know, we haven't discovered any giant eyeballs. No, that sounds cool. I'd be down to have just a chat with someone in a dream. Yeah, especially if it's peeps I know. Be like being able to hang with a friend during the hours that I'm asleep. Alright, man. Maybe we can talk about it a little more afterwards, but I'm gonna jump into the story. So for now, put your frets aside, put your worries to the wayside, and relax for a little while as we move into what will probably be the last chapter for the night. People you've never met. That could be cool too. Alright, so this is The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan. '47. Leo. Fly a helicopter? Sure, why not? Leo had done plenty of crazier things that week. The sun was going down as they flew north over the Richmond Bridge, and Leo couldn't believe the day had gone so quickly. Once again, nothing like ADHD and a good fight to the death to make time fly. Piloting the chopper, he went back and forth between confidence and panic. If he didn't think about it, he found himself automatically flipping the right switches, checking the altimeter, easing back on the stick, and flying straight. If he allowed himself to consider what he was doing, he started freaking out. He imagined his Aunt Rosa yelling at him in Spanish, telling him he was a delinquent lunatic who was going to crash and burn. Part of him suspected she was right. "Going okay?" Piper asked from the co-pilot seat. She sounded more nervous than he was. So Leo put on a brave face. "Aces," he said. "So, what's the Wolf House?" "What's the Wolf House?" Jason knelt between their seats. An abandoned mansion in the Sonoma Valley. The demigod built it. Jack London. Leo couldn't place the name. He an actor? "Writer," Piper said. "Adventure stuff, right? Call of the Wild, White Fang?" "Yeah," Jason said. "He was a son of Mercury. I mean, Hermes. Yeah, he was an adventurer, traveled the world. He was even a hobo for a while. Then he made a fortune writing. He bought a big ranch in the country and decided to build this huge mansion, the Wolf House. Named that 'cause he wrote about wolves? Wolves? Leo guessed. Partially, Jason said, but the site and the reason he wrote about wolves, he was dropping hints in his personal experience. About his personal experience. There's a lot of holes in his life story. How he was born, who his dad was, why he wandered around so much. Stuff you can only explain if you knew he was a demigod. The bay slipped behind them, and the helicopter continued north. Ahead of them, yellow hills rolled out as far as Leo could see. So, Jack London went to Camp Half-Blood? Leo guessed. No, Jason said. No, he didn't. Bro, you're freaking me out with the mysterious talk. Are you remembering your past or not? Pieces, Jason said. Only pieces. None of it good. The Wolf House is on sacred ground. It's where London started his journey as a child. Where he found out he was a demigod. That's why he returned there. He thought he could live there, claim that land, but it wasn't meant for him. The Wolf House was cursed. It burned in a fire a week before he and his wife were supposed to move in. A few years later, London died, and his ashes were buried on the site. So, Piper said, how do you know all this? How do you know all this? A shadow crossed Jason's face. Probably just a cloud, but Leo could swear the shape looked like an eagle. I started my journey there too, Jason said. It's a powerful place for demigods. A dangerous place. If Gaia can claim it, use its power to entomb Era on the solstice and raise Porphyrion, that might be enough to awaken the Earth Goddess fully. Leo kept his hand on the joystick, guiding the chopper at full speed, racing towards the north. He could see some weather ahead, a spot of darkness like a cloud bank or a storm, right where they were going. Piper's dad had called him a hero earlier, and Leo couldn't believe some of the things he'd done. Smacking around Cyclops, disarming exploding doorbells, battling 6-armed ogres with construction equipment. They seemed like they happened to another person. He was just Leo Valdez, an orphaned kid from Houston. He'd spent his life running away, and part of him still wanted to run. What was he thinking? Flying toward a cursed mansion to fight more evil monsters? His mom's voice echoed in his head. Nothing is unfixable. Except the fact that you're gone forever, Leo thought. Seeing Piper and her dad back together had really driven that home. Even if Leo survived this quest and saved Era, Leo wouldn't have any happy reunions. He wouldn't be going back to a loving family. He wouldn't see his mom. The helicopter shuddered, metal creaked, and Leo could almost imagine the tapping was Morse code. Not the end. Not the end. He leveled out the chopper, and the creaking stopped. He was just hearing things. He couldn't dwell on his mom, or the idea that kept bugging him, that Gaia was bringing souls back from the underworld. So, why couldn't he make some good come out of it? Thinking like that would drive him crazy. He had a job to do. He let his instincts take over, just like flying the helicopter. If he thought about the quest too much, or what might happen afterward, he'd panic. The trick was not to think. Just get through it. "30 minutes out," he told his friends, though he wasn't sure how he knew. "If you want to get some rest, now's a good time. Now's a good time." Jason strapped himself into the back of the helicopter and passed out almost immediately. Piper and Leo stayed wide awake. After a few minutes of awkward silence, Leo said, "Your dad'll be fine, you know? Nobody's gonna mess with him with that crazy goat around." Piper glanced over. "No one's gonna mess with him with that crazy goat around." Piper glanced over, and Leo was struck by how much she changed. Not just physically. Her presence was stronger. She seemed more here. At Wilderness School, she'd spent the semester trying not to be seen, hiding out in the back row of the classroom, the back of the bus, the corner of the lunchroom, as far as possible from the loud kids. Now, she would be impossible to miss. It didn't matter what she was wearing. You would have to look at her. "My dad," she said thoughtfully. "Yeah, I know. I was thinking about Jason. I'm worried about him. I was thinking about Jason. I'm worried about him." Leo nodded. The closer they got to the bank of dark clouds, the more Leo worried too. He's starting to remember. That's gotta make him a little edgy. But what if he's a different person? Leo had had the same thought. If the mist could affect his memories, could Jason's whole personality be an illusion? If their friend wasn't their friend, and they were heading into a cursed mansion, a dangerous place for demigods, what would happen if Jason's full memory came back in the middle of a battle? Nah, Leo decided. After all we've been through, I can't see it. We're a team. Jason can handle it. Jason can handle it. Piper smoothed her blue dress. P-dubs. Piper smoothed her blue dress, which was tattered and burned from their fight on Mount Diablo. "I hope you're right. I need him." She cleared her throat. "I mean, I need to trust him." I know, Leo said. After seeing her dad break down, Leo understood Piper couldn't afford to lose Jason as well. She just watched Tristan McLean, her cool, suave movie star dad, reduced to near insanity. Leo could barely stand to watch that. But for Piper, wow! Leo couldn't even imagine. He figured that would make her insecure about herself too. If weakness was inherited, she'd be wondering, could she break down the same way her dad did? "Hey, don't worry," Leo said. "Piper, you're the strongest, most powerful beauty queen I've ever met. You can trust yourself. For what it's worth, you can trust me too." The helicopter dipped in a wind shear and Leo almost jumped out of his skin. He cursed and righted the chopper. Piper laughed nervously. Trust you, huh? Trust you, huh? Shut up already. Shut up already. But he grinned at her, and for a second, it felt like he was just relaxing comfortably with a friend. Then, they hit the storm clouds. Krakoom! Krakoom! They're gonna get struck by lightning. Oh. I know, so we know now that each giant is meant to take down a specific god. So that means Porphyrion is Zeus's counterpart, right? Is that why the clouds are getting dark? That's my guess. I don't know for sure though. Probs. Yikes, dude. Yeah. That's a real thing. That whole idea of Piper thinking about if her dad could break down like that. If her dad could be drawn to near insanity, could the same happen to her? That's a scary thought, man. If you've ever watched a parent break down in any way, or just kind of lose it in general, it's a terrifying thing. Your bad is the dudes get stopped from rising, so Porphyrion, the Giant King, doesn't rise this time, but comes back in another book. It could be. I'm not sure. Yeah, I genuinely don't remember. I'm hoping. So Porphyrion, he can rise. Like it would be really bad, but they could still handle it, I think. But if Gaia rises, Mother Earth. If Gaia rises, I think like the whole idea is that if she does rise, they are screwed. They are out of options. At least that's the way they're making it out. But it might be, yeah, that in the later books, Gaia does rise, and then they find a way to stop her anyways. But I don't know. The whole concept is that she can't be defeated. She can't be killed or anything like that. But she can be lulled to sleep. Into a coma, basically. Also, I'm really hoping none of the hunters die in the struggle. You know, they are fighting it out and fighting hard. And we don't really know what they're about to fly into, you know? All they know is it's some sort of battleground, but has anyone fallen? How close is Porphyrion to rising? Is Eris still locked up? I don't know. Also, what do they even do to get Era out? You know, it said the dove, the forge in the dove will break the cage, right? That was the thing from the prophecy. So Leo and Piper are gonna break her out, but I have no clue how they're they're gonna do that. I do really like that simple moment between Leo and Piper there. I just think that I just really love that with how much happened in just those chapters. It was kind of refreshing to have a little point in there where, you know, where things are calm, where it really does feel like they're just having a friendly bonding moment. And it was clever too, because basically I think what happened was, like, the action escalated, and then it went back down with things still being tense because her father was still insane, to, okay, like, he's kind of coming to, all right, we're going to give him the thing, to, all right, now we're flying, we're going to go fly to Thalia, with the brief bit of, like, Thalia coming in and being like, oh my gosh, you guys gotta freaking get over here, dude. So it bumped up a little bit, but then they brought it even lower. They brought the tension even lower with Jason falling asleep in the back, Leo just doing his thing, putting his worries to the side, and then a simple conversation between friends to strike you again. So it went from here to that. I'm imagining that the next chapter is gonna just pull it straight back up into tension and action and drama. All that good stuff. All that good demigod stuff. I don't know, I've always been a fan of I've been a big fan of the pacing and how Riordan carries the tone. Riordan carries the tone throughout the books. Some good stuff. Nice. Well, that will be the last chapter of the night. And I think come Thursday, we're gonna do the finale. So be sure to be here on Thursday night and to hear the exciting conclusion of Piper, Leo, and Jason's quest to rescue Era and stop Gaia and her giant children from rising and taking down the gods. Will the gods aid them in this final fight? Will they be on their own? What is the significance of this burned house? Other than the fact that other demigods had been raised there before Jason. What's this great power that comes from that land? Why is it so important to the gods and demigods and ancient beings? There's a lot of unanswered questions still. And I'm curious to see how many answers we get. Sorry, I couldn't tell if so there's a spider in the in-between part of like the screen and the window, that in-between area. And I wanted to open the window because it was hot in my room. I wanted to cool down. It's a cool night, so I wanted to open the window. But obviously, I imagine so. I thought out of the corner of my eye I saw like some movement, which gave me the heebie-jeebies for a second there, but I think we're all good. I can go check though to be absolutely certain. Yeah, dude. He's still just hanging there. He really is just hanging. He has not moved. I don't know if the spider's just lazy, or if it's his bedtime too. I really don't know. But honestly, the fact that he stayed there for all like the 3.5 hours that we've been here, that's encouraging to me, you know? In fact, he's been there like since I recognized he was there, like this morning. He's been there for a while. I'm not even sure if he's... No, I think he is alive, because when I shifted the window to open it slightly, I saw him move a bit. So I do think he's still alive. But he's just chilling. The spider just be vibing. Like I said, I think he is genuinely just keeping bugs from getting in my room, which is good. He's like an extra layer of protection. You got the screen door and the spider. Heck yeah, natural security, dudes. Who knew? Who knew it would be a spider? Alright, good stuff. Well, guys, I think our chats today were really cool. I love when it covers these tougher topics, and the more emotional moments in the story are just a joy to get to act out and then share it with you guys. So I thank you for letting me come on today and read you a bedtime story. I thank you guys for being here. And I hope it was relaxing or entertaining or enjoyable, awesome, splendid, fantastic, cool, splendid. Did I already say splendid? Anyways. I'll go ahead and do the sign off. Hit me with the sign off music. Bzow. So, as always, guys, remember to take the merriment that we found tonight. Let it settle your heart. Hold it close as you lay your head on your pillow tonight. And bring it with you into the morrow. Spread it around a bit. To your neighbor, to your friends, to your loved ones, to your enemies. Everyone could use some merriment in their lives. So, don't be hogging it. Much love, guys, and it's great to be back. I hope to see you, not tomorrow, but on Thursday, as we finish The Lost Hero. Cool beans. I love you guys so much, and till next time, wildflowers, keep on swaying. Much love, guys. Peace.